Hi, welcome. Today we've got 2021 middle infielder Avery Lee from Wheeling Park High School, future Marshall commit. Buddy, I appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, man. So for those who don't know who Avery Lee is, give me a little bit of bio. What's on your wall?
I'm a 5'10", about 180 pounds shortstop / second baseman from Wheeling, West Virginia. I go to Wheeling Park High School for my senior year, but for my first 3 years, I went to Wheeling Central Catholic High School. Um, I played for the Midland Redskins for travel ball for the summer, and in all honesty, I play basketball as well. I'm a two-sport athlete, and I love basketball almost as much as baseball. So
When I was doing a little research for the interview, I saw some basketball articles, and you got a little game there.
yeah, I do. Yeah, I take basketball just as seriously as baseball. In all honesty, I devote a lot of my winter and fall to it. In all honesty, I take high school basketball very seriously. So yeah.
Awesome. So what's the story? Any basketball you think is going to get played this year?
I do, yeah. I think we're gonna make it work because we've been playing fall league so far, and that's been going just fine or whatever. So I think we're definitely gonna have some basketball games. But if the COVID map continues how it is, I think it's gonna be more like like every week we're gonna just get a team or whatever and play. But hopefully we can have a lot of games and can maybe compete for a state title.
Sure, great, man. So listen, the recruiting process, man, it's crazy. A lot of different things happen. You have really good. Yeah, there's some highs, there's some lows. Tell me a little bit about some of those highs and lows in your process, looking back.
Well, definitely a high was definitely committing on my visit to Marshall. That was definitely probably one of the coolest moments of my life, and definitely my proudest moment of my life. But there's obviously been a lot of lows, when a lot of dead periods. Those are very stressful and very kind of like they kind of take you down just because can the coaches hit me? Like that's where you got to be very educated to know when the coaches can text you or call you and that kind of stuff. But I just remember during the dead periods, it was kind of wondering like, who's gonna, message me or, message me or like, get in contact with me. So definitely those were some of the lows, going down, like not having anyone talk to you or like maybe a coach starts talking to you. I've had a couple coaches talk to me and then stop talking to me. So that definitely, that's definitely a low. But then definitely when you find the right coach and find the right school that's really interested in you and really wants you, that's definitely high. And that's what I kind of found in Marshall.
So when as you look at the process from the other side, from the coach's standpoint, what do you think your top measurables are? The things that got coaches to come see you play and then make you an offer?
It's definitely my speed. I mean, I ran a 6.48 a couple of times. I ran below 6.4 multiple times. I'm probably in the higher 6.3s, lower 6.4s right now. So it's definitely my speed, my attribute to steal bases. That's always been my best thing in baseball. I'm a really good base runner.
That's getting after it.
Yeah, so I'm a really good base runner. So that's what I definitely bring to the table the most in my fielding. I'm very I'm smooth and fluid on my defensive side. So I think those are my best attributes. But speed is definitely my best tool, which a lot of coaches looked at it for me for.
What are some of the other measurables? The kind of the standard arm speed, exit velocity, that kind of stuff. So other kids can kind of get an idea of where they're at.
So last time I measured anything from a tee, the last time I measured from a tee was a year ago. So that's not correct, where I'm at. So I would say about where I'm at right now from a tee is probably about 93, 94. But in BP, I can get up to real close to 100. I remember, I think my best like measurable in BP, I think is 98, and that was a couple months ago. But I've put a lot of weight on and strength on, so I think I can definitely crack the hundreds now. And then for arm strength, I was at 83 across the infield in February. But like I said, I put on since February I put on 20 pounds, and
Wow.
or February actually 25 pounds. I'm about like 175, 180, and I was like 150 during that time. So
Is that diet, lifting, a little bit of both?
it's honestly just I kind of just started growing my body more, lifting. I lift 3 or 4 times a week, so definitely the weight room is definitely key, and just eating. I try to eat well as much as I can, obviously, but yeah, I kind of just eat well and just I have good genetics with just growing muscle and stuff like that, so it definitely plays a part in it. But for arm strength, I'm probably about I would say 86 to 88 right now across the infield is where I put myself.
So for you, this process, your commitment was made about a year ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's the fall of your junior year. So you must have had a really good sophomore summer. Tell me about that year, and maybe what were some of the things that you did that summer that maybe the most helpful things that you did to get some coaches to look at you?
In all honesty, it starts during the sophomore high school season because I got to play a little bit my freshman season, but I didn't get a confirmed like starting spot because our team was very good my freshman season. We went down to lost in the state championship game where we had 11 seniors, very senior heavy. So I didn't get to have a solidified starting position, but I did get to play a little bit here and there. So definitely my sophomore year, I earned the shortstop job. So I was like a leader out there almost because you kind of have to be at that position. So I got to just learn and just experience a lot of stuff. And honestly, my recruiting started taking off. Was really the state tournament. That's when actually Marshall contacted me, and then a lot of schools contacted me after that because I played pretty well at the state tournament down there. And then that summer I played so that was my 16U summer, yes. And I played with the Pittsburgh Outlaws, and we went to a couple camps and at schools. So different schools started recruiting me there. So that was definitely good for that team. And then, honestly, I just played in one or two good tournaments where some schools saw me. I just played well, in all honesty. For that season, almost for my sophomore year, yeah.
So tell me about the offer process. How did that work? Did was it after a certain event? Did you get? Were you talking to multiple schools? Were you really honed in on Marshall? How did the offer process work?
So when I was 16 when I committed. So that was a lot of schools were just being able to start 2020, contacting 2021s and stuff like that. So a lot of schools were just starting to recruit me, but so Marshall, I first heard from Marshall after my sophomore state tournament game, and then they came and watched me out in Cincinnati for a game, and I played really well in honesty. And so those are the two times they saw me that summer. And after that, I played really, really well those two games, probably my two best games of this whole summer in all honesty, which was very, very, very nice. And so they saw me after the two games, and then they were talking to me like they were talking like they wanted stuff when I came down for a camp. So they had me come down for a camp in August, and that's where they actually offered me down after the camp, Coach Wagner.
So the camp's done. You have that conversation. What's going through your mind at that point? Is that your first offer?
Yeah, or no, it was my first division offer.
Right. So tell me about that, man.
So
how are you feeling?
Yeah, that was probably one of the coolest moments. It kind of shocked me. I mean, a lot of coaches are just straight up just like, here's a scholarship offer. You know what I'm saying? They kind of like tell you, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not really just like direct, like, we're going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's your offer, it's not really direct like that, So my whole car ride home, I was just like, wait, did he offer me there? So I was like, and mom was like, replaying in my head. And I was like, wait, did he really offer me there? And I was like, oh yeah, he did. And I just kind of, I didn't really tell many people in all honesty. I told my close friends and that kind of stuff, but I never announced it or anything like that. So, yeah, it was one of the cooler moments of my life. I'd probably second to when I actually committed.
Yeah. So tell me about that exchange from, okay, you've got the offer. Did you say yes right then? Did you say, hey, can I have some time to think about that? How did that work out, the time frame between the offer and when you actually committed?
So I got the offer in August, and I was talking to a couple other schools, but Marshall, I was talking to my heaviest schools I was talking to was University of Pittsburgh and Marshall. Those are my two schools I was talking to the most, but there was a couple D2 schools in the conference, but I had those two schools that was recruiting me very heavy. And in all honesty, I contacted all the coaches that were talking to me from the Mountain East Conference, and I was like, hey, these two schools are really on me. And I did talk to University of Charleston a lot too. I kept them. I talked to them a lot, but a lot of schools I was just like, hey, I had this Marshall offer from Marshall, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really interested in them. And I kind of just kept it honest with them. That's one thing you kind of got to do in the recruiting process. If you're not interested in school, just tell them, And so I kept it honest with a lot of schools. And before I committed, Pitt was still recruiting me, and University of Charleston, but neither of them have offer yet. But I think an offer might have come, it might have not, never know. But I had the offer from Marshall in August, and I kind of just sat on it and talked to my mom, and I just realized that it was the best opportunity for me from a money standpoint and just from a player and development standpoint that I should go to Marshall. So I went down on my visit in late November for a football game, and it was just unofficial, just because a rule got changed with the amount of visits last year and that kind of stuff. But I live in West Virginia, so it wasn't that big of a deal. I went down to unofficial. Coach Carlett toured me around the whole school, and then I talked with Coach Wagner. I did, and then on the visit, it was just me and Coach Carlett, and I was just like, I loved it down there, and I was just like, hey, would you guys take my commitment today? And he was like, yeah, of course, you know. And I was like, well, I'm going to commit. He's like, I was like, this is where I want to be. So I committed right at the football game down there.
So that's nice, man. You got that in your hip pocket, you know, going into your junior year. That kind of takes the pressure off. Now you can just develop and play and really focus on your game, and you know, all the shenanigans are done at that point. So tell me a little bit about, one of the questions I get from players and families, hey, I'm going to make a commitment. I got to call these other coaches and tell them, hey, I'm committing someplace else. What did you get? How did those conversations go? How did the coaches react? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because those are tough conversations to have.
For University of Pittsburgh, they were real nice, real professional. Like I said, I didn't have an offer from them yet, but I knew that I was on their board, and a lot of my coaches from travel ball were talking to me, that kind of stuff. And they liked me because I ran a 6.48 at their camp. That's a very good time, and I played well at their camp. So they were really interested. They were pretty interested in me. But I just told them, I was like, hey, you know, Marshall offered me and that kind of stuff, and I like the offer. I'm going to take it and that kind of stuff. And they were real professional and just like, you know, I wish you the best of luck, that kind of stuff. But what really stood out to me was from the University of Charleston, their assistant coach, Ian McDonald. He was very, very nice. Sent me a very long message and really thanked me and just wished me the best of luck. Thought I was a good fit for me, really encouraged me, and just always, you know, told me that he would always, you know, help me if I ever needed it and that kind of stuff.
Man, every time I hear anything about Robbie or Ian down at UC, man, it's always first class. Yeah. They run a great ship down there.
No, yes, I like I said, I kept my relationship even when I knew I kind of wanted to go play Division I. I kept my relationship with them just because I respected them so much as a program and a coaching staff, and I really liked, you know, what they had to bring down there. But yeah, they're very professional, very very great guys down there.
So let's go back to and you can talk about any of the schools that were interested. How when was that first email, phone call, text? Who was that from, and how were you feeling then? And when did that start happening?
So there was my freshman year, my freshman summer, summer of my going to sophomore year, but like I was still a freshman. So it was 15U travel ball, and one of the coaches from St. Vincent's College in Pittsburgh was he's a good friend of my whole head coach for travel, and he came in and helped out for assistant coach for the weekend, and I played really well this tournament, and he kind of just told me hey, you know, like, I'm saying you're too young right now, but like he was like, hey, if you ever want to come play my program, like you can. So that was basically my first offer and just like real interaction with the coach. So definitely freshman year was when it started.
Was that the first time you thought, wow, this could happen? This is a real opportunity.
Yeah, that's definitely the first time for me that I realized I could play college baseball, because I still didn't know what level yet, but I definitely realized I could play.
Awesome, man. So going through that process, looking back now on the backside, were there any mistakes you made or anything you thought, man, you know, I probably shouldn't have done that, or that was a big waste of money, or any mistakes stand out to you that someone else?
Yeah, there was yeah, definitely. I definitely kind of messed up with my travel ball organization, like what years I should have played. I definitely should have and this is no hate to my old organization, whatever, because I still talk to my old coach to this day, whatever. It was just I probably should have left the organization a year earlier and try to get more in the national scene a little bit earlier, because I would have had more interest and more looks if I would have done that a little earlier. But I'm not mad at for how long I stayed, because it obviously still worked out. But
what year did you transition when you're talking about that travel team? You don't have to mention names, but I mean, like, when did you make that leap or make that transition to from one team to another? And when would you recommend maybe someone doing that?
So I played for the Pittsburgh Outlaws organization, and I think they're a very outstanding organization. They're some of the best practices I've ever attended. I developed so much in that program, like so much from age 13U to 16U is when I played for them. And my development really went through the roof when I played with them. So I think if you're a young kid, you definitely gotta consider the Pittsburgh Outlaws organization, because their development is next to none. It's very, very professional and very, very data, and, you know, a lot of data and analytics and that kind of stuff. they use up there. So it's very professional and very, pristine. But I played there from 13U to 16U. And so that was more like just like a Pittsburgh kind of thing. We say around Pittsburgh a lot, didn't really go to many national tournaments, but we were a very good team and a very good group of guys. We didn't have a lot of college baseball players, but we were still a very good team because we played together for a long time. But I played there until 16U. And then my 17U summer, I played for the Brownlee Lookouts from Ken. And they're more national team now. So I think there's 8 of us committed Division I on my team last year. And so we were very good. We had a kid going to TCU, a couple kids going to Kent State, a couple national ranked players. So we're really good. And then this next summer for 18U, I'm playing for Midland Redskins. I'm sure you know about their program and the kids that play there. So I'm very lucky to have the opportunity to play there for their team next summer. But in my opinion, if I was myself and back in the day, I would start trying to get on the national scene at around 16U. Definitely 15 to 16U. It's honestly all depends on who you are and your player development and when you're going to grow. But I would definitely try to get on the national scene starting 15, 16, 17U. Because the mistake I did, and it didn't obviously matter to me because I was committed already in COVID. So cool schools couldn't really come to games anyways. But 17U was kind of a little late for a lot of kids to just start getting recruited. Luckily, I was already committed or whatever. But 17U is a little late. So I would definitely try to start 15 or 16U to try to get on the national scene and try to get looks by some bigger schools and stuff like that.
So you mentioned playing in postseason high school baseball was pretty important. You mentioned travel work being pretty important. What about people? Who when you look back, who were some of the key people in your background that you think were pretty instrumental in your recruiting process?
So I definitely, my coach from the Pittsburgh Outlaws organization from my 13, 16U team, just developing me as a player and a man, in all honesty, how to play the game of baseball right. So Joe Smiley he's the CEO or, whatever, president. He's him and another guy, Ron Wenzel. They run an organization. They're very professional guys. And so definitely Joe Smiley, he was my coach for those years. He definitely was a big part of my recruiting process and just who I became as a player. And then Jacob Big, who was my coach this summer, even though he's not more part of my recruiting process, but more of a player development stage from there as well, and just becoming a better person. So I definitely can give that to Jacob Big he's my head coach for the Brownlee Lookouts. And then honestly, I definitely have to give my mom some in there just from my baseball talent standpoint, because that's where I get my talent from is my mom and my work ethic. We used to play together all the time in the backyard and stuff like that. And she was a big reason why I chose Marshall to go to school, because she really liked it down there and liked the coaches and stuff. So definitely those 3.
What kind of did you use a recruiting service, or were there some other tools that you used that kind of helped, and how big a part did they play in the process?
I've gone to a couple of PBR events. I'm a fan of them. I definitely like them more than Perfect Game events. I think PBR does a better job of getting especially lower level players, getting them out there and getting everyone seen, not just the big names. So PBR events are definitely, I definitely do enjoy them. I think that they're good, but I definitely think you need to go to the right ones, because a lot of them, you need to go to the right ones where a lot of coaches are going to be, because a lot of them you'll go to them and there's one coach there. So you definitely need to pick the right PBR events to do. And so I used that a little bit. That wasn't my main thing, in all honesty. I used that just to see my numbers, in all honesty. But my main thing was really just playing in games, in all honesty, and just getting out and coaches coming and seeing me, in all honesty, and playing in front of the coaches. So I'd definitely say camp. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I definitely say camps are the most important thing to go to, especially if a school is already interested in you. If you go to their camp and you do well, they will start talking to you really heavily and maybe offer you, in all honesty.
Sure. So talk to me a little bit about video, how video played a role in your recruiting process. Did you have a skills video, a highlight video, a YouTube page? Were you throwing it out on Twitter? What video did you have that you kind of shared? And walk me back to when the recruiting, that sophomore summer and that early that junior fall.
In all honesty, I never had a highlight video, or I had the PBR videos that I give you, but I never sent any of those out to coaches. So I never used video personally myself. I know Josh Kuykendall sent my PBR video to some coaches and that kind of stuff. So that definitely helped with some coaches like University of Charleston getting in with me, that kind of stuff. So, I mean, he through him that the video was sent out, but I personally never sent any video out. I just excuse me, I just was already talking to Marshall, and that's kind of where I knew I wanted to go. So, sorry,
Sure.
excuse me. I just didn't like really use that video that much because I knew where I wanted to go and I had the school I was looking for. So,
So so Marshall sees you at the game. You talk with some other coaches. Tell me about the communication process. Was it mostly phone calls? How often was it text? What was the communication like?
communication, really. So, like when I started my recruiting process, the dead period was still like the laws and you know the rules are so weird and they change all the time. You know, I can never really keep up with them. So, like, I mean, it started really a lot of communication just through email with baseball, I think specifically. And then once you start getting really into it with schools and they start recruiting you heavier and you know really get interested in you, then it starts coming text and phone calls. So with Marshall, it started off with emails, just emailing Coach Carlet, and then as we grew closer, you know what I'm saying, started recruiting me more. We started just texting and then he'd tell me, and then I'd call him at, you know what I'm saying? Like he'd tell me to call him at a certain time or something like that. And I'd call him. And then we just had a couple phone calls and that's really it. But like mostly just emailing in all honesty, and then a couple texts texting if you get close enough with the coaches and stuff.
Sure. What when you look back on it now from an education standpoint, is there something that you wish you kind of would have known when you first started this process? Anything stand out?
Yes, definitely. I know I already mentioned this, but definitely get on the national recruiting scene earlier. And also, I definitely would have definitely tried to start it earlier or a bit more into it, I should say, because I definitely was definitely just set on. I'm very happy with my commitment and everything, but I was very set on Marshall. So like I wish I would have maybe just like you know just like really branched out and honestly and just try to see all my options. But I can't complain because I got exactly what I wanted and that kind of stuff. So I really can't.
Yeah, that you did pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Were there any particular camps or showcases? You mentioned like some PBR stuff, and you mentioned like going to some of the school camps. Was there any other events that stood out that maybe really got some attention for you?
So the West Virginia PBR, I think it is the summer games or something like that, or they played 2 games or whatever. I got invited to that last summer, and I know a lot of schools were there, W included. So there's a lot of schools that were there at the camp and the showcase that were there. So I definitely think that was a nice camp.
Where was that located at? Which location was that?
It was at Salem University, the school or the field down there.
At Frank Lloyd there in Clarksburg?
Yeah. And then so that definitely got a lot of schools interested in me and in some other players there. That was a really good event. Well, as well as Pitt, like a lot of schools, I recommend a lot of players. If a lot of schools have a team camp to recommend your travel team to get in those, because that's where I got recruited, and that's where a lot of schools saw me. So I definitely see if you're a travel coach or if you're on a team, I would definitely try to recommend your coach going to a team camp as a summer tournament or like a round robin thing, because that definitely helps with the players scene, because the coaches are on their field, they're going to be at the games. So I definitely would say those. And then even though I was committed, Lake Point down there in Georgia, that's a great place to get seen. So if you have opportunity to go down there as uncommitted, that's a very, very great opportunity. But luckily I was already committed and I didn't have to go down there, and but COVID stopped that anyways. So, but yeah.
Let me go back to the communication process. So you're getting ready to talk to one of these coaches that you talked to for the first time. Can you tell me a little bit about what that first phone call was like? What did they talk about? What did they ask? Was it stressful?
I was definitely nervous. I was definitely nervous, but I was kind of just open to it when he was just really just asking me about myself and just asking me how the summer's going and how school was going, that kind of stuff, how my grades and that kind of stuff. Just a normal phone call. I don't think we really talked about like recruiting there, what I'm saying, me even going to the university. We just talked about how I was doing, which is really nice. So
excellent. What in emailing, in that email part, was it mostly coaches emailing you, or did you actually reach out to coaches and send out some emails yourself?
Yes, I went through a lot of lists of schools that I definitely thought I could play at, and then a lot of schools I was interested in, and I did send out an email about me, just like a personal information, and just ask them to contact me back if they were interested in that kind of stuff. But definitely that definitely helps. But one thing I hate about baseball recruiting is how much spam email there is. That's one of my pet peeves. I really do hate that, because you never really know if the school's actually emailing you because they're interested in you, or if it's on your spam list. So I definitely think that is a part of baseball that should be taken out. I definitely think that even I know schools are trying to get kids to come to their camps or whatever, but it confuses a lot of kids and makes a lot of kids think they're, like not have realistic expectations, that kind of stuff. And it confuses a lot of people. So.
Yeah, when it says, "Hey Avery, we watched you play recently, and we're really interested. Would you like to come to our camp this fall? We'd really like to recruit you."
Yeah.
And they've never seen you play, and
yeah, exactly. They don't know who. Yeah. So I really
get you
definitely
off
think
an all-state list or a PBR ranking or something like that.
Yeah. So that's definitely one thing that I don't like about the recruiting email part of it. But emails is a good thing just to start off your recruiting process with, as if you're a young kid, because they can't contact you yet, like directly, especially if you're really that younger. So email is definitely the first communication you got to start with baseball recruiting.
So what advice? I'm a freshman. I feel like I'm pretty good. I might get some playing time this year. What's some advice that you would give to young players starting out the recruiting process now?
I would definitely just stay in the weight room and definitely stay just working out and just trying to get better and develop, because some kids aren't put in the best situation maybe with their high school. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, for my instance, I would have started on, a lot of teams that played, but my team was very good. So I didn't get to play my freshman year. So I definitely say, don't let that affect you, because it could be just your position in your school. So don't let that affect you. And like I said, just stay in the weight room, because that's where I've noticed a lot of my development, and just growing my body out and just being able to hit like raw measurements, which a lot of coaches like to get you just seen. And then after that, once you're already seen, that's you just got to play. That's when you just go out and play and just play your game. And if a coach really likes you, you know what I'm saying, if you're a good player, and it will show on the field, But I definitely say try to develop in the weight room and definitely get your body right, because a lot of coaches will see those measurements and will see those numbers and then make them interested in you to come watch your game. And then from there on, that's just you playing baseball.
So in your process, did you visit multiple schools, or once you visited Marshall, man, that was it?
So I took my first visit, or my first unofficial visit was at University of Charleston, and that was for their junior day. So that was a really good visit. I really liked it down there. Like I said, I was going to Marshall, I was going to Marshall a month later, so I was going on that visit. So I took my unofficial visit in Marshall in November, and those are the only two schools I unofficially visited so far, which I'm going to take an official visit once the dead period is over, if it's ever going to be over. It just keeps getting pushed back. So I will take my official to Marshall here soon. But those are the only two schools I visited unofficially, but I was on Pitt's campus for a workout for like 2 or 3 days.
So tell me a little bit about those being unofficial visits. There's really not a lot of difference as far as what communication or offers or what coaches can do. It's just who's fitting the bill, right? Yeah,
it's literally just who's paying it and who's and how many days you can. You can stay 2 days unofficial. You can literally just buy your own hotel room. It's just really just who's paying for it, in all honesty.
So walk me through, for kids who have never been on a visit, maybe walk me through that UC visit. It was a junior day, so I'm assuming there were multiple guys there at that time. Tell me a little bit about how, what you did when you showed up, how long you stayed, what happened during that trip.
So UC, we met at the Innovation Center, the big nice glass thing that's really nice down there. We met it there, and then I think there was about 8 or 9 of us maybe. So we met and we went into their a meeting room up at the baseball floor or whatever, and we just talked with the coaches for honestly a couple hours and just talked about their program and what they do there and why they picked us to come and that kind of stuff. So I definitely felt a lot special, because it was just for West Virginia kids, and they picked, like I said, 8 kids. So they thought, I was one of the better 8 kids that they were, that were in the state. So that definitely made me feel good and feel special. And then we went down and visited their field, and then we just toured the campus and that kind of stuff, went to the cafeteria, visited the classrooms, that kind of stuff, went to their weight room, went to their, their workout space, that kind of stuff.
Did you have individual meetings with any of the coaches, or it was all a group the whole time?
For the UC visit, it was just a group the whole time.
Okay. So walk me through that Marshall visit. How did it get set up, and then walk me through the logistics.
So after I went to their camp down in August, once they offered me, they told me they wanted me to come on for a visit or whatever. It was supposed to be official at first, but then they changed a number of official visits you can have or whatever. So they had to get their JUCO guys that they were going for next year and first. And I just told them I could take one next year as a senior or whatever. And I was like, all right, so that's fine. So I just went down for an unofficial visit in November. And it was just me and Coach Carlett. But they kind of just contacted me after the camp, and I just went down for an unofficial visit. And it was just me and Coach Carly and my mom the whole time, and we just toured the campus. And one of my other commits from Marshall, his name's Kane Elmy. He was down there with the pitching coach the whole time. So, but I got to be with Coach Carly the whole time. So it was nice. It was just a one-on-one time. We talked, just us. He toured me around the campus. It was a really good experience. I really liked it. That's where I fell in love with the campus.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about so there's the baseball side. Hey, I've got a scholarship offer. There's a whole nother side, the academic piece of it. How did that fit in? Where do you stand academically, and how did that fit into like the overall, cost and all of that, that whole process?
Yeah. So I have a 4.33 cumulative GPA.
That's not too bad.
No, it's not. It's not awful. And so academics actually the most important things. So in baseball recruiting, because as you know, very few kids get a full offer. You have to be, number one draft pick to get a full offer from a school. So there's 11.7 scholarships on the team. So they're not gonna. A lot of schools aren't gonna offer you even more than 75. You have to be a real type of player to get 75. So a lot of schools are gonna give you an offer usually below 50 or something. So you have to make sure your academics are very up there. Because luckily for me, and with Marshall in-state tuition, and with my offer I got, I'll be going for free. And so that's because of academics. Yeah, that's because of academics,
Sure.
So yeah, it's literally, if you just say you get your academics right, a lot of schools will really want to contact you, just because I know for me personally, and Marshall was really interested in me just because of my grades, just because they saw I can play, and they didn't even they just saw I can play and they can saw my grades, and they're like, we don't have to give this kid that much money because he'll be able to get so much academically. So with them,
it's a difference maker, and there's a lot of guys, especially young guys coming in, that don't understand that, and they don't pay attention to that side, and then it really limits their options. Down the road. So that's well done, man. What do you study? Do you know what you're going to study yet?
In all honesty, my major has kind of my what I wanted to do has kind of changed over the years, but I do think I want to go into coaching at a Division I level, and maybe even be an athletic director one day. That's my goal, actually, to be an athletic director of a big school or something like that, a big college or something like that. So that's definitely
my one. Man, you got that feel. You got that. I can see that one day. Yeah,
sure. That's definitely my goal, my career. But I do work at a law firm in the summer. That's my summer job. So I'm a paralegal assistant. So I am interested in law. So if I don't want to do that, I definitely consider about law school.
Law school in the future. Well done. Yeah. Good plans, buddy.
Yeah.
So along the way, everybody's got different recruiting stories or funny things that kind of happen to them along the way. Anything stand out to you that you want to share?
Yeah. So when I was at Pitt, and I mentioned earlier that I ran a 6.48 up there, and obviously that's a very, very fast time. And Pitt's head coach was timing me, Coach Mike Bell, and he was timing me when I ran it, and he looked at the stopwatch, looked at me, and looked back, and then was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "You just ran a 6.48." And I was like, "You for real?" Because it shocked me too, because I was like, "Whoa," because I didn't think I was going to run.
You should have said, "Hey, I might be able to do a little better."
Yeah, and I was like, because I did. I was like, yeah, I'll do better next time or something like that. And I ended up getting 6.51 or something like that, so it was real close or whatever. But he was like, "Do you play football?" Because he thought I played football, because I was, usually baseball players don't really run that unless you
right.
time it. But no, I don't play. I was like, no, I don't play football or anything like that. But it was a fun conversation. That was one thing I always remember.
When you were talking to the coaches, did being a or a two-sport athlete ever come up, or was that something they liked?
Yeah, I definitely made sure they knew that, because like I said earlier, I do view basketball just as important as baseball. I take that very seriously, and I work at it just as much. I work at it just as much for baseball. I put a lot of effort into it because I really enjoy basketball, and I really do like it. Even though I'm going to play baseball in college, it's still important to me. So I definitely made sure that they knew that I played baseball or play basketball, and that made sure they were okay with it. But a lot of schools do like that, honestly, because they know, because I'm a point guard in basketball / shooting guard. So I can run a team, and I can, and it correlates to shortstop. So that's very good with just being able to run a team and being a leader and that kind of stuff. So a lot of schools like that. And Marshall really likes that specifically because they can tell I'm athletic, because I can go play basketball and jump and that kind of stuff. So they like their shortstops to be athletic. So it definitely helped.
So when I was looking up, I saw some pretty good numbers. What's your best game? What's the most you scored
in a high school game?
Yeah,
high school game is 34.
That's getting it done. Well
Yeah,
done.
but the night before I had 32, and then I came out the next day and had 34.
Well
So
done.
yeah, that's my career high for high school. But back in middle school, I put up some 40 points a couple times.
Attaboy.
Yeah.
40s, man. That's
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Well done. Well, listen, Avery Lee, Wheeling Park High School, commitment to Marshall. Man, I really appreciate you spending some time. Really good stuff sharing. I appreciate you sharing your story today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Mr. Davis. I really appreciate you. Really had a good time on here, and it was a lot of fun.
All right. Take care, buddy.
Thank you.